Hello and welcome to Making Waves by todderbert. If you enjoy kit building, making electronic circuits, and do-it-yourself projects, then make sure to subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss any of my most excellent videos. In front of us we have the ICStation do-it-yourself digital FM tabletop radio with red, green, blue LED flashing display. You can buy this off their website at ICStation.com for $26.59, or you can get it at Amazon USA for $28.49. It's a pretty cool project. Thought I'd bring it to your attention. I love FM radio, and building one is always fun. So let's take a look and see what we get. Pretty simple brown box. Let's go ahead and open it up. Let's see what they give us inside. Okay, right away I'm seeing a cable to power it probably. Yep, USB to a DC jack. Okay. Got a bag of components, which we'll try to go through some of it. We got a cool character display, 16 character 2-line display. I believe it's a blue, inverted blue. Nice. We got a thump and bass speaker here. Cool. I like these kind. Similar to what you'd find at Deal, but just bigger. I like that. Should sound good, hopefully. And then they give you an enclosure here, which is nice to house your project. I really like that. Nice acrylic housing there. And a bunch of hardware. We got standoffs, hex nuts, and bolts. There we go. Okay, so set that aside. Let's bring in a little backdrop so we can see some of the parts without losing them. So yeah, there's the character display. I'm just going to leave it in the packaging. This will display the frequency information. Kind of interesting how that was going to work out. Cool. So we get that cable. The speaker, yeah, I'm not sure how big it is, but we'll do like a little mini review. But yeah, it's one of those, that style. Yeah, like you'd see in a Bluetooth speaker. Pretty cool. Yeah, I guess let's leave that out and wrap that up, back up later. Avoid damage. Always a good thing. You already saw the case. Pretty simple. That's going to go together nicely. And all the mounting hardware. I'm hoping that everything fits well with this. Always a big hope there. And components. Yes, we have lots of components here. So let's take a look at what we got here. Opening this up. Let me get to the PCB here. We'll take a look at that. Okay, so I was checking this out. It looks like they have this little pads here for a microcontroller. You don't have to solder the microcontroller, just the pads. So it comes on like a little daughter board. That's nice. So that's your smallest component you're going to solder in, and it's not going to be too hard. I'm going to use, let's see, a screwdriver tip, probably a smaller one, probably like this size. And I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to tack these with a little bit of solder on the tip of the iron. Let that flow. Tack one corner in, maybe tack this corner. Make sure it's centered for the other pads, and then do the same and fill those in. You're really going to spend about 1.5 seconds on each one. And if you're spending too much time, your iron's not hot enough, or you need more flux on the area. So something to think about. Cool. All right. So look up closer here. You can see there's spot resistors, LEDs. There's our LED display. Pretty cool. It's segmented. I'm not sure what it's going to do. That'll be fun to see. So it looks like the LCD display goes in there. Yeah, there. That row. And there's probably the controller for the LCD display right here. It's a big chip. Then we got switches down below to control the radio. And it looks like maybe an amplifier over here in the corner. Backside, you can tell the pads are nicely made. ICStation kits are really good as far as quality components. I haven't had a problem with their boards at all. And they're clearly labeled with like the resistor values and capacitor values. So there's that. Let's take a look at the controller chips. Okay, got a loose resistor here. There you are. If you need to know what that is, there you go. I'm guessing that does drive the LCD display. And they get a socket for it. That's nice in case something goes wrong. Hopefully it's a standard item. And then I think, you know, everything else is just like a mishmash of resistors and capacitors. There's our holder for, looks like our amplifier circuit, antenna, some lead wire, some jumpers, LEDs, red, green, blue. That's nice. It changed, so that's going to be cool. And our switches, we got a crystal floating around in there. And I was looking for that little mini microcontroller. I'm seeing some kind of amp, other stuff looks like little amplifiers, more switches, and looking for that little, there it is. See if I can pull that out and take a look how little this little part is. And everything else we'll just leave in the bag. So the little dude, to get into focus, it's going to be doubtful. Oh my gosh, it's tiny. Yeah, there's some surface mount I wouldn't be able to do, that's for sure. This is like a quarter size of a postage stamp. And as you can see, they have you orientate it like this, crystal down, and then you got to solder to the edge here. Those little divots are the attachment points to the PCB. So take your time. That's probably the hardest part of the whole kit. Is that little tiny dude? Don't breathe or sneeze around that. All right, cool. So I'll just show you a couple of the tools I'll be using. Just gonna pop these back in here, and then we'll look at the instructions real quick. And then we'll move on to building this. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's move some stuff off of here. Okay, so I just grab random things. Like over here, I have my flush cut cutters. Usually these are used for modeling. I use it to cut the extra leg material off once you've soldered the component in. Come back on the back side and flush cut that off, which is nice. Those are handy. You're going to need pliers. I recommend finding a pair of like angle pliers. These are really nice because you can grip on the edge of a screw or nut and turn it, and you're not going to score the board because you're curved away from the board as you turn it. Also, you do have detail if you need to pick something up or tighten it from the top. You do have that detail work. Well, these are really fine. These have been modified, but that gives you an idea there. For solder tip, I think I showed you kind of the one I want to use. It'll probably be this. You're going to want a 25 to 30 watt iron. Mine's temperature controlled, so I'll probably be running around 750 degrees, 700, 750, depending what works the best. But that is going to be a tip size I use. That's the one I showed you with the PCB. That works good for these smaller components. Let's see, what else would I use? I have my rosin core 6040 solder. I definitely recommend using the lead-based. If you're okay with that, just wash your hands afterwards. Don't rub your eyes, that type of thing. But yeah, tin lead with the rosin core. I like this brand in the USA, beautiful thing. So I'll be using that solder. And let's see what else I got handy here. I usually have a loop handy, 10 power loop. This is so I can inspect my joints on the board. Like I'll be, looking to make sure I got a nice joint made. 10 power, you can see quite a bit. That's coming in focus. It's kind of hard. But when you're, of course, putting your eye up to it, it's much better. Okay, there we go. That's better. You can see your 10 power. And you use that for inspection. So yeah, I'll be using that for inspecting the board. And I think that's about what I'll need. And maybe a Phillips screwdriver, possibly a number 2, like this here. Just a simple, I got a Craftsman number 2. This will work. Number 1, maybe you might need a number 1, depending. So it's always good to have a couple Phillips handy, and maybe even a micro one if I need to have a micro flat blade. I have a micro flat blade or a micro, what do you call it? Phillips, a micro Phillips. So I have that handy as well. Though I don't know if we need these in the project kit or not. But that's some of the tools I'll be using. So neat. Let's go ahead and move these tools aside. And yeah, so this radio is going to be like 76 to 108 megahertz. I'm kind of excited about that. And let's go look at the instructions now. It did not come with instructions, if you noticed, in the box. So you have to download them from the website. Well, I downloaded them. So if you guys need them, if you forget to download them and some reason this kit becomes unavailable or that site's down, just email me and I'll send you these links to this. So I'm going to bring this iPad in here. And we'll just kind of scroll through the PDF file that they let you download. As you can see, there's the bill of materials showing a picture of everything included in the kit. The back for the opening for the speaker. That's a beautiful thing. Front, nice clear looking area for the display. Oh, looks like there's even a cover too. Nice. Okay, so that's going to be a cool case to build. There's the enclosure. There's the finished product. We're going to have the LCD front and center with our buttons below. Our red, green, blue display up on top. I don't know what it's going to do. Kind of entertain, I guess. Definitely tabletop radio. There's no battery, though you could probably hook it up to a power bank and take it out somewhere. I'm guessing it's 5 volts. Let's make this all to show here. There we go. Socials features. Here's your support. Now it's saying 87 to 108 here, but on their main page, it did say 76 to 108. So I'll have to correct that as we go. Maybe I got the American version here. Good. Since we can't really pick up much for US down below that 87. So there we are. There's some information for you, some parameters if you need that. Okay, it's going really quick here. Again, bill of materials. There you are. All different values and what you should have. Nice. Going kind of slow here. For posterity, you can always freeze frame on these pages. Schematic diagram. And of course, I think this is 26 pages long, so yeah. That's kind of cool. They'll talk about a little bit about installation. What you would want, they're saying less than 50 watt iron. Yeah, you don't want a 50 watt iron. That's pretty hot. But a 30 watt iron, if you can handle a 25, 30 watt iron, you're going to be fine. That's all you need. Wire cutters, wire strippers. You might need strippers. If you're careful with wire cutters, you can use your cutters to strip the wire. Or a sharp X-Acto. Just be real careful not to cut in too deep. So there you go. This is nice. So it talks about the steps you'll start with. Okay, so I'm just gonna, yeah, pretty much it's going step by step here. And they're gonna show pictures. Here's the picture of that little guy. They're showing it orientated to the main PCB. And they're showing how to attach it. So there's where it's gonna go. And I think in the next picture, they show you tacking, making solder in one corner, and then attaching the chip. So you attach it there, see, and then you'll be lined up to make your rest of your joints. So yeah, that's probably going to be the hardest part to solder in. So there we go. All right, I can't spend too much more time here, but as you can see, nice illustrated manual here that you can download PDF style. I like that. I like having that. It's nice. And it looks pretty well laid out. I mean, it's all self-explanatory here. There are a lot of parts. Don't let it overwhelm you. Looks kind of cool. It's all compact in there. I really like this project. I think it looks neat. But you just take your time, and this won't be that difficult. This should probably be your 4th or 5th kit. I don't think it should be your 1st or 2nd. Make it at least your 3rd or 4th. What are they doing here with the FM antenna? They're showing it soldered. Interesting. Don't know how that is. Install. Not screw. Fix it by solder. I don't know how that would hold. I may have to modify that. I'll let you know how that goes, but soldering it. Yeah, I don't know how long that would last. Good tug and you might rip it off the pad. I don't know. Okay. Just my experience of things. So we're done with the instructions. There you go. Again, if you buy this kit and they don't have the instructions, definitely give me a holler. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. The iPad works good. I like having that handy. So there we are. There's our little starter to give you an idea of what we're doing. And what I'm going to do is assemble this bad boy. I'm going to take pictures of the build process. And I'll come back with a finished product and we'll do a mini review of the radio and see how well it performs. There we go. All right. I'll be back. We'll fade to black. And when I'm back, we'll have a radio on the bench. All right. See you in a bit. Here are pictures of the build process. In this first picture, I populated the PCB with 20 resistors, 1 crystal, and the RDA 5807 FM receiver board. Note orientation of the receiver. Here is a close-up of the RDA 5807 daughter board. Solder one pad, then center the board and apply heat to that pad. Next, I installed 2 IC sockets, 2 ceramic capacitors, 3 monolithic capacitors, 2 KA2284 LED drivers, and 10 red, green, blue LEDs. Note orientation of the IC sockets, the drivers, and LEDs. Next, I added 11 electrolytic capacitors, note the polarity, 1 DC power jack, and a 16-pin female header for the LCD module. In this last picture, finishing most of the soldering work, I added 6 switches, 4 brass standoffs, and installed the two ICs. Take your time with the 40-pin chip. Make sure all the pins are straight and line up with the socket. Note orientations of the ICs as you place them. And now the project in front of us. Rock on. There it is, finished. Looking good. This is a good little project if you're looking for something different. If you live in an urban environment, it's a fantastic project. If you live in a rural environment, you're probably not going to get a lot of use out of it. I can get stations. It's just a little bit of work to do it, and I'll show you what I mean as we display this. But let's go over a little mini demo here. So let's go over like a normal review would be. Let's give dimensions. Our length is 3 5/8 of an inch. Our height is 3 inches. That includes the antenna sticking up here. And our depth is 2.5 inches. Look at that speaker. Pretty cool. Liking that. Size comparison. I can just bring out a CC pocket. That ought to work. There you go. And then, of course, we got a deck of cards. Iron Man. He's the man with the master plan. He loves ICStation radio kits from China land. It's Iron Man. You get it? Cool. So yeah, features of the build went fairly easy. Everything is pretty straightforward. The only not so straightforward thing I ran into was the screws. The description of which ones to use where. Just note that the short screws go on the bottom of the brass standoffs. The long screws go on the top of the standoffs through the 2 levels of acrylic there, as you can see. And the rest of the screws hold the case together and mount the speaker. That's the only thing that I noticed that was a discrepancy in the instructions when you go through it. But otherwise, everything else seemed to go in place rather well. As you can see, you have to lay down some of those capacitors for clearance issues. Like I said, take your time with that 40-pin IC. You can kind of see it in there. Yeah, straighten the pins, kind of bend them inward a little bit if you have to on a flat surface, just so it lines up and seats real nicely for you. There you go. We got the 10 LEDs there with the 2 driver boards underneath. You can see that. You saw some of those in the picture. There's our DC input, 5 volts. And of course, we have our switches here. So yeah, we got our antenna, which is a whopping 10.5 inches. Yeah, they have you solder it. I'm not too keen on that, but it's holding pretty good. I didn't notice any weakness of that joint. I used to hot iron to get that soldered. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I used probably about 750, 800 degrees and a real wide tip. And pre-tinned the area and added a bunch of solder first, and then just laid it down and then put heat on the bar, and it sucked right to that board there. So as long as you get to where that hole joint is, you should be fine. That was one thing I thought should have a screw and a washer or something and a nut to hold that in, but they had you tin it. It's fine for a little baby antenna. I'm not going to worry about it. That's one thing I thought they could improve on. Other things here, tuning. It's a real basic tuning receiver. Power on here, which I'll show you in a moment. Your volume up and down. They're kind of reversed. It doesn't have mode memory at all. It doesn't remember anything. So when you turn it on, it defaults to lower frequency and a higher volume. So you have to adjust the volume quickly and adjust the frequency. And the frequency is interesting because it's not incremental. It's just browse up, browse down, and cross your fingers. Hope you get the signal you want. We're going to fire it up in a second. On-off switch here, and our light switch here for our display, which you can turn it on and off, which is nice. Because to be honest with you, it serves no purpose except to go, ooh, ah, to your friends. That's about it. And then the speaker here on the back is a 2.5 incher. It's okay sounding. I thought it would have more oomph to it. You know, like oomph, oomph, oomph. But it doesn't do that. It's okay, but yeah, it's not spectacular. So, but anyway, let's hook up the antenna. I'm going to do a little, just a simple little hook up here, like this. And then we're going to turn on Radio Todderbert here. And we'll see if we can't pick it up with our setup here. Turn it on. Of course, it won't turn on because it's not battery operated, right? So what I'm going to do is bring in Mr. Bat. Tech the Mr. Bat. This is a 10,000 milliamp hour bank. I put a meter on it so you guys can see what the power draw is on the radio. And we're going to plug it in using the power bank. So I get this all in the frame for you guys. So you can see this, and I'm going to plug this in here. It's fun. It's going to go portable too, which is great. I love the idea it runs off a power bank. So let's go ahead and switch it on. Okay, it's making some noise there, of course. I love it. See if I can get my color right. There we go. Use Iron Man for that. So our volume controls, so you can see this button's down, this button's up, which is reverse of what I'm used to. So we turn the volume down. Then we're going to scan up and see if we can't find our audio demo. Okay, going the wrong way. Let's go ahead and turn that volume down. Okay.
Of that is there problems?
Oh, it's picking up quite a bit. Surprised.
Fabulous.
Okay, passed up radio todderbert. So this is the fun part. You got to go back and forth. I got the receiver right on my bench, transmitting. There it is. Almost. This is the hassle. There we go. So what it is, C-frame, FM transmitter 2. I think you can mute this. There we go. FM transmitter 2 on 97.7. As you saw, I had to kind of go back and forth. This thing's right next to it. It's such a weird tuner. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. And I'm using royalty-free music with the little MP3 player. So let's go ahead and just do an audio demo real quick. I can show you what this thing's consuming. There you go. Let's go ahead and turn this up. Jam on it. Wrong way. There you go. Get an idea. So I'm going to go ahead and just move the power bank out. You saw kind of what it was drawing. If you're not using LEDs, there's minimal, low volume. You could run this for quite a long time off of this power bank. Quite a few hours. Easily 60 hours on a 10,000 milliamp hour bank. A cheapy guy I picked up for $10. So, but yeah, there you go. All right. So I'll just put the power source off to the side. So before we do our FM band scan, because it's the wire there hooked up, let's go ahead and just mute this real quick. Let's talk about FM reception report. Yes, I went through this thing. It was a pain, a total royal pain. Let's see if I get my color back there, because that LCD looks really, in person, it's really deep blue with reversed white lettering. It looks really nice. But with this, you can kind of see the blue on my hands. It represents the color, but the camera's kind of making it more aqua. It's definitely more blue. Yeah, this radio was a pain going back and forth with the browsing. You saw what it took to try to get this 97.7 with the transmitter right next to it. So yeah, I found 37 stations with it. It's okay. Rating, 2-star rating. An analog radio may do better. You might be able to take your old school radio and do better. If you live in an urban environment, you may do better than me, of course, as well. But that's how many I found. So sensitivity is okay, and then selectivity was okay to good. But there's a lot of work involved going back and forth. So let's just do a little quick FM band scan and then do my final thoughts on this. So let's go ahead and bring this back in. Okay, we'll run the color. Now what I noticed is that when the signal is in stereo, the lights will change color. If it's not in stereo, it stays red. It's just something I noticed. So I think I'm right on that. So let's go ahead and tune away here. Let's get off this mute. So, volume meter. So we're just going to go to the bottom here and see what we can find on a band scan. Okay, I'm going to turn this down. Yeah, it's not the best radio in the world as far as receiving, but strong signals tend to come through. A little work.
Pewnie też tak robisz. Ja tak staram się wsunąć jakąś karteczkę z
Cashback on your first fill up. You can cash out anytime. Per support to limit what is taught in history classrooms, ban LGBT.
Okay, well there it is. It's pretty basic. It says FM stereo. Like I said, when it goes to FM stereo, the tone gets weaker, brighter. It sounds more spacious on its speaker, so you know you're in stereo mode. And like I said, the LEDs change color. So we're gonna unplug that. I wanted to quick show you guys another project I did that I recommend over this one. So let's bring this up. If you're looking for not like a self-contained radio to build, ICStation also sells this one here. I don't know if you guys have seen this video. If you haven't, an awesome little radio. 18650 powered, all self-contained. Does not need a power bank. You can charge it right there. It's got a charging port. Even has a headphone jack with FM stereo listening. Fantastic. And it doesn't sound half bad. I still need to hook up the wire to get reception in here. I'm gonna have to probably mute that. Okay. What copyright issues? Let's get this hooked up. My little wire, and you can see the difference here, which is pretty amazing. And then we'll go ahead and go final thoughts. Kit prices, I think this one's cheaper than this one, but you got to provide your own 18650 battery. So let's unmute. This has stored presets, which is nice.
about to update it, and then...
Stream is a turn pro.
It's nothing compared to when that first song hit you.
It's important to add this layer of protection. The vaccine is new, but the
Guarantee and no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile at regular rates. Go to xfinity.com/gig. Call 1-800.
So as you can see, this is the better FM radio kit. If you're looking to buy a kit and have a FM radio you're going to use all the time, I'd recommend this one here. If you want something that's kind of a light show, kind of has a cool display, and you live in an urban environment, you're not too crazy about going back and forth to try to find your station until it finds it, and you're okay with it not having any kind of mode memory or rechargeability or anything like that. This is fun, a fun kit to just kind of show off. I do like the fact that that worked out well, but for me, I like this one, and I'm going to have links below to both kits depending on what you prefer. This has a little tiny readout. This one, of course, has a larger one. There is no headphone jack, unfortunately. I wish it did have that. That's one thing that was, I wish it had memory, and I wish it didn't default to the high volume every time you turned it on. So just little things. But overall, this one definitely gets recommended by. This one gets a maybe recommendation. Just depends on what you like. Well, there it is. This is the ICStation Do-It-Yourself Digital FM Tabletop Radio with red, green, blue LED flashing display. Again, ICStation sells these for $26.59. Amazon has them for $28. If you're interested, I'll have links below. It is the GY20384. If you lose your PDF, just email me and contact me, and I can always send it to you. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a big like if you did. 2, subscribe to the bell icon if you want more of these kits and want to see more. And 3, comment below what you think about this particular kit. Would you get that, or would you rather have this? Let me know. All right, guys, take care, and we'll see you in my next video.